Check, check. What up, world? All right, I'm here with the homeboy Danny and my brother Ravi. We just going ready to chop it up. What's cracking, fellas?
What's going on?
What's happening?
How are you, Jesse?
I'm good.
How are you, Jesse's brother? Long time no see.
I know. I was just like, I haven't seen Danny in forever. Every time I see him, he's got like a new look. I was like, damn, dude, I feel like a brand new person's walked in.
Yeah, I know.
The reason I say Jesse's brother is because we go all the way back to high school.
Yeah.
And you were in middle school at the time.
Yeah, he was in middle school then.
Yeah. So I would always see him as Jesse's brother. Yeah. Like, that's Jesse's brother. Yeah,
I heard that a lot in high school. I was like, damn, I'll have my own identity one day.
He definitely does now.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so, but before we were turning this on, we were talking about aliens and upcoming disclosure by the government.
Yeah, it's been interesting lately. Yeah. It's become more public news and mainstream as far as these alien encounters or UFO encounters that we're not aware of, right? So shit's getting interesting. Shit's about to hit the fan, it feels like.
Yeah, for sure. I think one thing in particular was Throwaway Aliens post from like 2013. This guy, his post has taken Reddit by storm this year because he predicted a date of July 18th where some sort of contact would be made this year. So he made that prediction 8 years ago, which eerily lines up with the UFO Pentagon report release here at the end of this month. So everyone has been speculating about it. He actually came back just 2 weeks ago and posted an update, which was fairly sad, but also more in depth. And it's hard for him to explain stuff in regular layman's terms because he's like, I still have difficulty communicating with them. But he's like, the aliens that were always in contact with him and abducting him, they had names, so he started to get to know them on a personal level.
Or that's what he called them, right?
Yeah, well, he gave them names, basically.
Yeah, he gave them names.
I think it was just interesting how he said he's been abducted pretty routinely throughout his life, and then they gave him this certain date. And, he's touched on stuff that's already been covered in the mainstream about how there's multiple alien races and, like, their ships and the way they travel and the way they, like, interact, like, how they, like... Yeah. They observe humanity too. They're not here as just like some like lethal force ready to take over you. He's like, they're more curious than anything. And I think his latest post was like, there's like only 3 to 7 planets in the entire universe that have life like we have here on Earth. So they're like more curious than anything.
And I remember saying something about that we could be one of the only ones that look up to a single deity and like something about religion that actually entices them to want to know what's going on down here. Yeah, he referred to him as the friend of friends. Yeah,
he said we're like the only species that experiences like deja vu and kind of alluded to almost like a parallel universe. And he's like, even the aliens are that advanced, but they still can't. They're still trying to like dive into that, and that's what like piques their interest, I guess. So
because I just thought something. I wonder if like because the aliens they could be aware that like. How Nikola Tesla once talked about you could generate power from a certain longitude on Earth from the universe for free and things like that. Like I wonder if that's not a thing that's available in other planets or something and they're like they know about this thing or something and they're like this is interesting. Let's see what's going on with that too. But it seemed to tie back to some deity or religion thing and he said that those friend of friends that he knew up there had a battle with another species of alien up there and they had taken over essentially. So now the latest post this guy didn't so I don't want to put everything on this dude because obviously we've researched Bob Lazar to David Fravor to everything like really legitimate stuff, right? We don't want to put all the legitimacy on this throwaway alien Reddit poster, but he did post one time and never posted on Reddit again up until like a couple weeks ago. The date he did say is like July 8th or 18th. He couldn't read it out because when they're trying to speak English it's like comes into our ears a little differently, but he's like I don't care if people think I'm crazy this and that. He was running down how he lost like everybody in his life and like someone that was like a niece to him got abducted too and that's his only hope of seeing her one day and shit. It was just super sad, man. Like you could just feel it through the post when he's like talking about it because he's like I'm not going to be here very much longer so y'all can make up whatever you want on Reddit but like you'll know when it happens and this and that and somebody famous is going to get taken too. Apparently they were semi-famous when he made his original post, according to him, referred to him as Coach in the post, and that they got really famous now and they have suppressed the whole alien abduction thing that they went through as well, and never said it out loud apparently. But I guess if some billionaire or rich celebrity goes missing like this month or next month, then just you can kind of connect that to that possibly.
And we're trying to fill Danny in, but it's like it's basically years of information. His posts are extremely long, but they're like some of the most popular posts on Reddit. So it's just kind of, but in a nutshell, he kind of talks about his experiences and like you got to have a very wild or vivid imagination to like make up all the level of detail he made up in his stories. Like if people think it's a hoax,
you have to be on DMT and like record the experience or some shit.
It's just like common interactions. Like you wouldn't even think to make a lie about something so small or so petty. Like, so he's got such like detail in his interactions with them, and it, like especially on this latest.
He'd be the best troll of all time if that was fake. Yeah, because he was a 7 or 8 year joke or something. Yeah. Like that would be crazy.
And then they say they try to pick at the way he writes, but like, I mean, no one's going to be totally normal if you've been abducted by aliens routinely. And there's like movies made after it and stuff like that that kind of share the similarities in his stories. And then Project Blue Book, that show or the stories about that kind of line up with what he was saying, like how the government's already met with them and made agreements with them. And now you're seeing all these like UFO videos on TV now of like what the ships are doing, and the Pentagon's basically admitting to it. So so it's just it's kind of crazy having the government come out and say it, and then like still the rest of humanity's just kind of like, okay, whatever. What's happening in our day to day?
I know it is. It's hard to even focus on like all that stuff when it's like, damn, this is the most important shit right now. It seems so interesting.
I think it's one of life's greatest questions. We're about to like release information on it, and
and everybody's like, oh, just get back to work. They're like, what the fuck? The aliens are coming, bro.
And already, so I'm reading. So one of the incidences that we all know about, the aerial incident in Zimbabwe where
the children
I heard about that story.
So if anyone listening hasn't heard it, there was a ship that came down or some UFO that came down. When was this?
This was back in 1994 or 97, I believe.
In the 90s some ship comes down over, what was it, elementary school or outside of it or something?
Playing in the schoolyard or something.
And hundreds of people saw it.
It was like one of the biggest mass witness sightings in history. They made it right outside their schoolyard or something.
Right, and those children who are adults today, you can go on YouTube and find where they've been interviewed to this day, and a lot of them have kept this incident secret from their spouses because they didn't want to be referred to as crazy, but they're describing the same thing they described as children when they were also recorded as children not long after the incident occurred. But I'm reading who you're talking about, and he uses, like in the third paragraph, he uses the big ship, and these children also described a larger ship being in the air that day when the smaller ship landed.
You gotta think about, like, dude, if they're traveling like thousands of light years at a time, there's gotta be like a bigger docking station, right?
For sure.
For them, it's gotta be like,
unless you're
sitting in something like this big, like, you know, the size of this like little ottoman here or something, right? So,
I mean, there would definitely be bigger ones, but if you're crossing planes like of existence, I don't know. I mean, you could kind of pop in through a portal and pop out somewhere. You'd feel like at a certain point. But up in space,
and even like lately with the stories being corroborated by Bob Lazar and David Fravor, like people in the military, Air Force pilots, all these people that are saying like what they saw,
and they see it on a regular basis.
60 Minutes,
60 Minutes did a piece a couple weeks ago.
Even fighters in World War II and stuff, they were just like, dude, we've seen crazy orbs and stuff in the sky. They're like, there's no way normal human-made ships move like that. And, like, so many people say it, and then there's still all these like deniers. But I'm like, it's now that we have advanced technology and the Pentagon can't really like just downplay these claims because so many people are having encounters, and they're saying the encounters are increasing now, which could line up with this guy's story that there's going to be some sort of event or disclosure of some sort happening on July 18th. So he's like they've already made contact with people at the military levels in America, but he was like, it might be subtle, we might not notice it, or it might be some sort of overt communication to us.
I thought it was eerie. He said like the last time he went up, that a lot of people that were up there, like the humans, were wearing military uniforms, and so it's like there's deals going on or something's happening, and that's similar to what, like, I mean, Alex Jones talks about.
Yeah.
Like, you know, Alex Jones did say they're going to that realm and making deals and shit, which obviously we don't want to put all the like everything behind Alex Jones as being the most credible, but you know, sometimes he's hit the nail on the head on some things.
That goes into my theory of how we advanced as a species and a civilization over time. Like, how did we go from only discovering oil and electricity within the last like 100 years to now you've got drones and you've got computers in your pockets, right?
Yeah, it happened
There's
really
some
quickly.
Sort of assistance along that plane, right? And so it's kind of crazy, and that's how Blue Book went into it. The military had already, they were even denying their own Air Force pilots like help. They were just trying to like it was a very small subsect of people in the Air Force and stuff that only had the real knowledge, and then they would just deny.
Even in the show, they were demonizing the pilot like hell, like everyone around him.
And not only this, it's really good to point out, not only did we make advancements in technology, but at some point in history, the human species went back. Yeah. Because in order to have pyramids and structures that are still standing to this day that align with the stars, and then you go back in time where there was electricity wasn't being used. You know, in order to go into those pyramids, you have to have electricity because a flame is not going to stay lit. So I think it's important to remember how at one time the civilization was advanced and then went to the Stone Age, it seems like.
That's kind of crazy because we were just watching that documentary last night about ancient Sumeria, the first like known civilization that descended from that. And they were advanced up to a very certain point, and then something happened, and then they went almost like primitive or Neanderthal like.
Yeah, it seems like that's what always happens.
1,000 years, and then they had to like go back and start all over.
That's
again. So
what Graham Hancock talked about of the civilization that lived 120,000 years ago in the Amazon, when it was like 1 million plus. Thriving civilization, very advanced. Even there was like a European that came by on a boat and freaking noted down the whole experience. Like, this is some incredible shit. Like, I've never seen this before. And then like when they went back, I don't know, when they came back, apparently it was like all overgrown, and I don't know what had happened, what had occurred there. But
I definitely believe that there was probably certain periods of because I didn't even think last night's documentary was talking about how there was this very advanced. The Sumerians were very advanced. However, there was another like barbaric culture that came and just like destroyed them. Like, they had, because like
it's like the Europeans do to everyone else.
Yourselves in your community, and they just got slaughtered by like some like primitive like beast almost, right? So they lost all that technology and stuff because in their mindset,
that shit always happens.
I'm just conquering and eating food, where the Sumerians were trying to advance as a whole.
It's like because so every time the history gets destroyed of something that's more advanced, it's like you start the fucking game over. The burning of the Library of Alexandria is like one of the greatest crimes in the history of humanity, and how much history would have probably been in there that we wouldn't even be like in our mind state where we are now. We'd probably know how to telekinesis or something.
Imagine if the whole world worked together instead of bombing the shit out of each other. How far advanced we could be, right?
Exactly.
Like Damascus is one of the like oldest cities in the world. Now it's bombed to rubble almost. Right? It's pretty sad. Imagine how much history was there.
And we see that in nations today. Nations who, like for Japan, for example, who don't take their budget and spends it, billions, trillions on military. Look how advanced their society is, because that money is going to advance society.
To the right places.
Yeah. You could really better your people, or you could have some people that have ulterior motives that just want to line their own pockets and better themselves. If we worked as a collective whole, like imagine what humanity could achieve.
Right. Yeah. And I wonder if there's some way that capitalism can actually help like influence that in a better direction instead of always driving into a negative direction, because it always does. But I don't know if it will. The greed always, like no matter what. So it gets interesting. I don't know.
And let's not all. I know he's a controversial figure, but Louis Farrakhan, Nation of Islam. Yeah, he's been talking about aliens for 30 years now.
I don't know much about him. So
Farrakhan's been talking about it a long time.
And also the Dogon tribe.
Yeah, I heard about them. Was that an African tribe?
Yes, in Africa, that still exists today.
Yeah, they do.
Who still say that they came from the stars.
Yeah, I heard that in that same in Throwaway Aliens post, he references something
About
where a
the
guy
Dogon.
ties it back to the Dogon tribe,
Yeah.
which is pretty wild.
Yeah, there's a lot of
It's like,
connections there.
Yeah.
The Dogon is like the most interesting. I remember, we've gone down that hole before. They were around before the Olmecs and Aztecs and all that, right?
Yes, they've been around for...
Yeah,
that
because the
star
Dogon
system
was
that
the Sirius star system, star cluster.
Could be almost what this guy's referring to. He's like, we're close. He's like, when he talks to that group that continually abducts him, they keep alluding to we're near the edge or the edge of the solar system.
He's like, where are y'all
like
from?
What if they're from there?
We're from out there, but on the side or something like that is what they said.
Because it's hard to like talk their language or see what they mean and then convey it in
I mean, in our dumb brains when they're floating through space
comprehend.
and we're like, what do you mean? There's only a few planets out there. I don't know what you... on the edge of the infinite space of space-time continuum. Like, what's going on?
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting time. And then like, as the weeks keep approaching, we keep getting new like video releases of more UFO crafts. I'm seeing it all the time.
I wonder what I don't even know what the like mainstream's view of this wants to be, because New York Times put out an article yesterday saying that it was not something that is not like a UFO, that video was not a UFO or something. Like Sagar posted it and was like, what the hell are they trying to do now? Like,
my guess is they're going to try and blame it on another country and go to war, or as always label them as a threat or a dangerous species and try to go to war with them.
There was like there's no explanation of the capabilities they have, even being in our universe.
Well, you see the most recent video of where they swarmed the Navy warship, right? Like their whole like radar is just lit up with craft all around it, right? So why would you even? It'd be just dumb to even try and go fight that.
I don't want a part of that fight.
Yeah, your radars are lighting up, but you can't see anything in person. Yeah.
So that leads to a bigger question as to why now? Is the U.S.
why are they admitting it now? Right?
My theory is maybe humanity's reached a point in their technology or capabilities that aliens are like, they're getting to a point where they're going to ultimately destroy themselves and they're a unique species and we might need to intervene, or it could be something a little more malicious. But I think Neuralink is coming. Like once we start putting chip implants into our brains, how much are we going to accelerate, or is someone going to get too smart and too dangerous and try to destroy the planet? Like that could always happen in a moment's notice too.
Yeah,
they do.
Maybe there's something happening with all this hype, like just what we're testing. Making a hybrid animal human and stuff. Like maybe we've just gone too far,
right?
Playing too much. Now they're like,
it feels like
address this. Yeah.
That nuclear thing is the big deal. Like they've made a lot of more visits ever since like World War One and the nuclear capability. Yeah. Just being able to drop bombs. They're like, oh no, we're gonna come shut down your nuclear power weapon facilities. Like, so that happens a lot.
Thank God the planet could have probably already been ended.
Yeah, we probably would have been. Like, we probably thank the aliens for us living right now.
I know. That's the funny thing. They probably actually saved us, and we're gonna probably try and destroy them.
Damn, it's like, this shit goes full circle every damn time.
Yeah, it does.
And also the colonization of Mars.
Yeah.
That's being attempted now.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're like, we're trying to expand our
true.
territory. Like, nah,
bitch, you stay on one planet.
We're seeing what y'all doing to your current planet. We don't need to go anywhere else.
And did you see, and not just Mars, but the other side of the moon has been
like the dark side of the moon.
Yeah, the United States has gone there now.
Structures there. Yes. I've heard about structures being there, and that might be another reason why we've never gone back.
And water.
Yeah,
there's water. That's
I've seen the streams of there being like previous water. You're saying there is current water on that side?
Yes.
That isn't. That'd be crazy.
And I'm hearing that there's theories of like if they want to be close to our planet still, they could just set up shop on the moon because we don't. It's not like we travel there every day.
Yeah.
Right? Because I've heard about stories of structures being located on the moon. I still think it's a little fishy that. Okay, we've gone once. Why have we never gone back in 60 years?
Yeah, that one is weird.
No. Like, I do believe we did go, and we probably learned a scary lesson at that time, and we didn't go back.
Yes.
That's what I think happened. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a reason.
So,
Because he couldn't have brought it through that Van Nuys radiation belt, some radiation belt through there, like to bring photography and film down between that would get destroyed at that radiation belt.
It's also government mind state. Any undiscovered land or precious resource or mineral, they're going to go take it if it's free of danger, right?
Yeah.
I'm surprised they would have already tried to colonize the moon in some way, shape, or form, or harvest it for
energy, they put a fucking American flag up there, didn't they? Like, hey, bitch, this is us. Like, what? No, excuse me, sir. Like, aliens gonna come pick that motherfucker up right now. So. Like, who do y'all think y'all are? It is pretty, what's the word for that? Like, thinking you just, like, really run shit. Like, I'm putting a flag here, and I'm going here.
Yeah, but we stand no chance with their propulsion systems and the way their craft moves.
Hell
Even
no.
on the videos they've
Element
released,
115.
the way them shits move back and forth and up and down and, like, going thousands of miles per hour. They're like...
The way David Fravor explained that incident of, like, it turning up toward him and then it going full speed at each other and disappearing was, like,
they calculated,
scary as hell.
They calculated the speed of that craft, and they were like, at that speed that it was moving, it could travel the entire world in 1 minute, it said, if it really wanted to. There's no way we're competing with that.
Yeah, because it went like, 60 miles away in like a blink of a second or some shit?
Blinked and it was on the other side of the radar.
And also with the water, with the Navy incident.
Yeah, and it was like over the water.
It went into the water. Yeah. There was no wreckage, no... So that's it also leads
their
to...
Their vehicles can fly and fucking go underwater.
Right.
What are they communicating with down there?
Right.
They might have a base down there.
And what's down there?
Or what's
because
down
that's
there?
the one place that humanity can't discover, the very depths of the ocean, right? It's so undiscovered. Like 90% of it is? The ocean floor hasn't been discovered?
Yeah.
Why not?
So that's where you would be, is up there or down here.
Yeah.
Like,
right. And there's more ocean than there is land on this planet.
Exactly. Yeah, it's true. It could be like more aliens than humans on Earth.
They basically got us by the balls. They got us beneath us and above us. I don't want to try and mess with that.
Yeah, we're in a shit sandwich.
And then you also have the hollow Earth theory.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've heard something, but I haven't heard
there's more space to be discovered down there.
Well, there's actual civilization in the
center of the Earth.
Yeah, it makes sense if their ships go down there, right? And then that was also another sighting in Project Blue Book. Was one of their biggest encounters. They were doing massive Navy warship trainings for around the Cold War era off the coast of England.
Yeah,
and like the head admiral on that ship leading the whole fleet. Like the whole power on the ship went off, right? So everybody's like, "What the hell's going on?"
I've heard of it.
They're thinking it's Russians, and then this silent, massive black craft just comes out of the water. All their electronics have turned off on their ship, and they're like trying to fire at it. Nothing happens, of course, and it flies right over them, like just dead silent. Like the boat the ship just comes right out of the water and over the entire fleet. They couldn't do anything about it. So I was like, that's insane, man. Like,
and then they turn over to you, you're like, you can't tell anybody about this happened. You're like, what? That's fucking life changing for me.
But what I think is we shouldn't take an aggressive approach, because if they wanted to attack us, they would have done it in the last 7 years.
Yeah, I mean,
there's no reason.
They're that far advanced and we're not destroyed. That should just be the enough answer.
That means they know there's something special about the Earth. They don't want to engage humanity because they can probably wipe us off in a second.
Because when we say they, we know that there's multiple species though, so it gets really weird because there's good and bad species. Probably
they did say there is bad and
so then there's like bad ones that could have potentially if they found us on Earth, maybe they would want to do some shit, and then the good ones might be like, oh no, that's the homies we vouch for. We gotta we're just shutting down their nuclear facilities, but we ain't letting you take them or kill them or something.
To add on to what you were saying, Throwaway Alien was saying, the people that have been abducting him for the last 16 years, he's like, he said they're finally going back home. This is their last time. Mm-hmm. And he said that might be why this date is also important, because there might be a new species or breed or whatever that's coming back or taking over for their own with their own intentions.
So what if the military that are up there being abducted are aware of this? They send a message down to military, say, put out the news that aliens are potentially real. Yeah. Because when this new species takes over, we may have to go to war with them or some shit. And so we got to open them up to the idea that this is
Does that destroy?
But it destroys the divide and conquer aspect of that they always go after, right?
Well,
divide instead.
Well, maybe this is going to be such a big threat that humanity has to finally unite.
I see.
When was the last time that ever happened?
Against Hitler, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, kind of. Besides Japan, right? Or
but that was still countries versus countries.
Yeah.
This wouldn't be humanity as a whole.
Yeah, as a whole versus something that's totally different than them.
Yeah.
I don't know if we've ever even we probably have encountered it before, because going back to where we started, like civilizations being advanced, going back down, being advanced. The nuclear glass that was found in certain areas was only comes from out of this, not anywhere in our universe, or from a nuclear bomb going off.
Yeah.
So whether the damn Egyptians and the people of Atlantis were dropping bombs on each other, or some shit came from
their
out of this
hieroglyphics
world.
basically point to a smarter entity, right? Like
when
you look at the hieroglyphics, they're showing crafts and like astronaut helmets. Like
it's too accurate.
Technology back then,
yeah,
right?
it's too accurate. Unless you get a peek to the future, or unless you had it in the past. But they did find that huge boat that ancient Egyptians used.
Or if they can almost like get into such a spiritual meditative state that they can like communicate with with
the ultimate consciousness, because that's what we all tie into.
Those tribes and civilizations were way more in tune with the earth and what's going on around them. They could probably find a way to call out to them. Now we're so detached,
and that's why certain things were built with like the stars there. Like he was saying, like what was it? The pyramids are built on like true east, west, north,
like with mathematic precision.
This wasn't like done by accident, obviously, and we all we were aware of that, but then we all I don't know. We don't know what to do with that information. It seems like most people don't. They're like, oh, well, that's really interesting. That's cool. But now you can start piecing pieces together of the puzzle.
Yeah,
really.
It's like we don't even have the mental capability to comprehend how big this situation is, which is pretty wild. Because I've always wondered this my whole life. I've been fascinated with this topic, and I'm like,
I have too.
I mean,
it's
like
innate inside of us to be.
We could be totally wrong. Maybe that date comes and goes, but it seems like for him to list such a specific date 7 years in advance, and then come back 2 weeks ago and just add on to the stories, and they're still out there on Reddit.
And then the account gets deleted.
The account gets deleted, and the Pentagon starts releasing all these reports about the UFOs and actually showing videos of it. Pretty eerie timing for him to line up. So
it is.
It's going to be an interesting time for sure. What'll be like less than 45 days out. So yeah, I think it'll be fascinating. It's gonna be kind of crazy because I don't even want to tell people about it, and the date comes and goes and nothing happens, then I just look like a lunatic. But then when it does come, I'm like, yo, I knew about this all along. I mean, sure you did.
Like whether that date comes and goes, and whether throwaway alien stories like real or fake, there's just a lot of tie-ins there. I mean, dude could have had like some, I don't know, say it just wasn't real and he just had some crazy dreams and went into that state. What are dreams anyway? Like, is he communicating with the consciousness and saw certain things that actually do exist, but we just are like, oh, you had deja vu or you're dreaming or whatever it is. But it's like a crossing with a different reality that's already been lived or whatever it is. Like, because sometimes dreams could just be messages sent from a different consciousness to you while you're sleeping or something. So,
but his encounters, they're so detailed. Just the small like nuances of the details. It's like, how would you even think to make this up? And when people go read it, they'll understand it. Like, this is either. And he's not the only. Be an author with his vivid imagination, or this stuff really happened.
So, like, you could take some like Travis Walton. He's been abducted as well. Like, this isn't just all coming from one source. There's other people that are widely out there, and they often get looked at like cuckoo. But his story does carry some validity because I mean they've made movies and everything about his story. That thing pulled him up into the ship, and he saw people that he had that weren't near him, like that he had seen prior or after or something, and like they had known each other before that, but then he like saw them again at some point and knew that they had both been on the same ship together and abducted. It's like, it's just an interesting field concept. You still reading that story, Dan?
Yeah, I'm still reading it. I'm at the part where he's specifically talking about July, and he says that his information comes from like a map that he saw. And he says he's seen maps, and it says, quote, I've seen maps up there, and it looks like on the 18th something will happen, at least in Western Africa, something in maybe China or around China, and in Wyoming or Colorado or Utah.
He couldn't tell because they don't have the imaginary lines like we have for states and shit, right? It's like
Wyoming, Colorado, and Utah, are there like military bases? And those are more remote areas.
Utah is where the monolith was found.
Oh, it was, wasn't it?
Yep.
And there are,
snap! Was there a monolith found in
Romania?
It was Romania,
Utah.
But then I think people started trying to mimic.
Who knows how far it went with the real ones or whatnot?
Utah, right?
Yeah, the first one
or
that
Colorado.
that first one that caused the big stir was Utah. Yeah.
Dude, what if he's on? What if that was something? What if that's the area that something happens? That'd be kind of wild.
And those are also the places.
Those are near where it's near Roswell too. Like
Yeah.
New Mexico, like all the stuff.
And that's also the
Area
places
51?
where those data centers are located.
Oh yeah, where all our fucking data's going. It's like football fields long and shit.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
That's wild.
Huh.
Yeah, it's an interesting theory.
Damn.
Well, for Western Africa, what's that, like Yemen and a couple other countries? I can't even think off the top of my head, but yeah, I don't know. That's interesting. Those are just some random places.
Where's Zimbabwe on the? That's southern, isn't it?
Like
Africa, or is it?
Or is it middle to eastern Africa? I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Is it Western?
Sure. But they had British accents, so I'm not sure where it's located.
Well, map of Africa or something.
Yeah. The biggest damn.
It's a credible civilization. Why wouldn't they go start?
Oh, you got to go to fucking Africa. Exactly. That'd be like they're like, we're going to the Holy Land. That's how like Christians look at Israel.
Yeah.
That's how aliens probably look at Africa. Maybe
that was another thing I wondered. I was like, I wonder how that affects religion and people's worldview. Because like, is extraterrestrial life incorporated in those texts, or does it make it seem like it's not at all? I wonder how that will change people's views.
Yeah. So speaking of religion, Louis Farrakhan, he's incorporated that into their religion.
Yeah.
In the Nation of the Nation of Islam. It's incorporated into their beliefs that these people or
these beings,
these beings will return. And he often talks about a big ship, a mothership, and he goes into detail how many smaller ships there are. He also talks about the scientists. But yeah, he goes into detail. I don't remember everything, but it's incorporated into their beliefs.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting. I just saw this little piece from Throwaway Alien. He was like, I think the government report is going to be more of, its point is going to be misdirection. But he's like, there probably won't be any answers in that. So he's like, I guess July 18th is the ultimate day to really find out anything. But that'll be interesting. He's like, it sounds like they are leaving, at least the species that he's been in contact with. So I guess we'll find out. But it seems like he's pretty traumatized. But it also says he is leaving as well. They're taking him with them. So
what you're looking at, the most recent one?
Yeah, the most recent one.
Is that what you read? Was his most recent one? The July 18th.
I couldn't find the original from 7 years ago.
Oh, my bad. I think I just sent that to you too. Then. Yeah, I actually have the one that run down the original. I'll send that to you too.
It seems like the government's hand has to be forced in order for it to reveal anything.
Yeah. And then they'll still try to not reveal it if they can.
Like you said, they could be playing like the both sides of the fence thing. Like their report can be like, okay, it's gonna be harmless, nothing's gonna happen, and then they come in and maybe like make it look like they're trying to attack humanity, and the government steps in to be like that ultimate unifier and the hero role.
Yeah,
right?
I see. Yeah, you're right.
Could happen. Just a bunch of random theories. We don't know, but we'll see.
Mm-hmm. So is the U.S. government the only government that's revealing this information, or
I think there's a couple other like first world countries that are in on it too, but I think the U.S. government.
I know the UK has helped with.
I know Israel has been in it. UK, Japan, probably China. China said their reportings or increases have increased a lot lately. They call them unidentified air conditions. I was like, that's kind of a funny
air
name.
conditions. Yeah, it's not UAPs, it's UACs.
Yeah. So what about the U.S. Is the U.S. media the only media that's reporting on this?
I guess all the other international news medias will just pick up whatever the U.S. drops and runs with it too, I assume.
Okay.
They're probably unified on that front for the media release, I bet.
But then that gets tricky on like what's the real story, because you always want it from different angles. But if it's all coming from one source, unless there's like some significant thing that happens and everyone just calls in from Russia, China to the news stations, they're like everyone sees it and they're aware of it. But I don't know.
It could be like a comet or a meteorite or something might hit us. We have no idea. We're probably overdue for that too.
Yeah, and there is an incident of Iran's Air Force having an encounter with
Oh yeah.
Yeah, with UFO.
I think it's happening across a lot of countries now. There's like a lot more sightings.
I
and
bet
stuff
any
going on.
country that has a nuclear weapon has had
They
sightings.
probably like have teams that monitor every country with a nuclear weapon. I bet.
Yeah.
So that makes.
Because they said they went and shut down the silos that were pointed toward the missiles that were pointed toward the Soviet Union in the 90s as well. That was like all across the top of
the northern
the
border
United States.
of the U.S.
Yeah,
every silo went offline.
Yeah.
And they saw a craft flying above it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I was like, that's pretty wild. Luckily, like, too many people didn't panic. They tried to use an alternative weapon or something. But at that point, you probably could have avoided like a nuclear holocaust, basically.
Yeah.
But if their goal is to prevent a nuclear war, why was World War II not prevented? You know, Hiroshima.
Maybe they let us operate on our own until that very first bomb was dropped, and then they're like, "Oh crap, that came across our radar."
They're like, they're gonna fuck shit up for us too, like because they can't live properly in the universe if Earth throws everything off. Possibly, I don't know, unless it's just a planet that can just go poof and that'll be fine. But there's something about it that
humanity has dropped a bomb like that, but there's not been another one dropped ever since. So maybe it finally came across the radar. They're like, oh, they're just primitive people. We don't need to go visit them and stuff. Then all of a sudden, 500,000 people get wiped off the face of the earth in like a couple seconds. They're probably like, we need to go check on them.
Yeah.
I'd be pissed if the government like was under Area 51 at like S4 or wherever it is that they like did figure out how to use element 115, and that's what these fucking things are every day.
It's just like the government using their advanced technology.
Which would prove like something's real that's from out of this world, but there still can be like, well, the aliens aren't real because you haven't seen the actual aliens.
Like
you just seen the crafts.
Like the military intelligence knowledge is like 50 years ahead of right now, but then the alien shit is probably
like millions
of years ahead.
They're like, hi, you thought you hit us with
us along.
They're like, checkmate, bitch. That's what they're gonna do.
They just come in and just turn those ships off. Like, usually click them with
turn the power grid off.
Is it possible for a government to have technology so advanced and not want to capitalize on it?
That's what I think they're doing, though, right? Like, we probably have ships that other countries don't, and that's how we always keep a leg up militarily, right? Because, like, you know, we give all the hand-me-downs to like the third world countries and people that still want military like weapons and stuff. But I'm sure there's stuff hanging in military bases here that is like far beyond than what we've seen. But then there's another level to that, to what alien technology is. Because, like we said, like in the past, how did humans keep evolving and advancing in technology? Maybe they've been helped along with secret deals. Actually, what Throwaway Alien says, and a lot of other people says, like the government's agreement with them, and they've been seen on the ships, was in exchange for allowing them to abduct humans and conduct experiments on their anatomy and stuff. And in turn, they will give them secrets to some sorts of advanced technology. So the military government's probably like, hell yeah, we can sacrifice like, I don't know, 2,000 people a year if you give us the edge in the military. They don't care. But dropping bombs for any minute reason, they'll be like, hell yeah, you can abduct as many as you want. Just don't abduct like these certain people, right?
Right.
So that could be the agreement they have in place, right?
So this could be Atlantic slave trade 2.0.
Yeah. Between interdimensional species.
Right.
And sounds fucking crazy, but this is where we are in 2021.
Yeah. Life comes at you fast.
It really could be,
I wonder if the ancient Egyptians are one of the species of what we call aliens now. That's always one thing that's got me, is like they were that far advanced and then they didn't see some cataclysmic event or whatever that caused them to go away to happen. They might have just bounced. Created some craft and figured it out. I mean, they created those pyramids. Shit.
Yeah, which is still jaw-dropping to me how they did that without assistance, quote unquote.
And in the hieroglyphs of using the pine cone and knowing about the third eye and pineal gland and higher consciousness and
they had an elevated level
communicating
of
with
so they probably were able to communicate with other species.
Right? Unless we are descendants of what's visiting us.
Yeah. And they're coming to visit. And you're like, hey, Grandpa. My great ancestors.
Like, I'm home, kids. It's been a long time. I've been a deadbeat for the last 3,000 years by that.
Right.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
Damn.
You take their DNA and you combine it with the a chimp's DNA, and here we are.
Yeah, we're in the middle of it.
Yeah, and far advanced, and then like can't do much of anything, but like figures out how to use a stick as a weapon or something, and that's about where we are, maybe in the middle.
And they come to visit. Mom and daddy's home.
They're like, y'all still ain't learning shit. Y'all are killing each other over skin tones, and like all aliens are just one color.
You dummies ain't learned shit. We're going back up.
And you know, those children in Zambia, they also spoke about how they were communicating with them, but telepathically.
Yes, I've heard that, because they've evolved so much. They're like, why do we need to waste that energy of moving our mouth and tongue?
It's ridiculous.
We can speak from our minds.
Right.
It's a lot less energy. It's a lot
and
more.
And you can convey way more of a message, like emotion with it and stuff like that.
And
you
that's
can't
why
do
throwaway
that.
alien has a difficult time conveying what they're saying.
Yeah, because just like you're trying to.
Such an advanced
it's like you're
level.
translating a language that's unheard of.
You're translating a thought that pops into your mind from someone else.
Yeah. And you're trying to put it into words. Like what? It's really hard to do.
Because noise coming out of our mouth, it takes so much to learn what these noises mean. But a thought,
just transfer the data to you. Bam, that's Neuralink shit. But on an alien level.
A thought isn't a noise. No.
It's wild, man.
Yeah.
I didn't think we could talk for so long about it, but I feel like I gotta talk about that all day.
It's just so
crazy.
Fascinating of a damn topic. That's the thing. Like, man, you always sound like a nut if we like start going down that hole. Because like, oh, y'all talking about UFOs or something, but it's like, I
don't just get how it's not fascinating to people who go research on their own. Like when people just outright come and just like deny it if you bring it up, I'm like, have you ever really like looked into all the stories or looked into Project Blue Book, looked into all these sightings? And you just think every single one is some fabrication. It's like not even plausible at this point.
I know.
There's thousands of videos, thousands of people's stories, and they all share the same similarities. And Project Blue Book was invented to deny those stories. They hired people at the highest levels to go travel around the U.S. during all these sightings because there's mass panic in the U.S. during that time period. So the Air Force is like, dude, we got to quell these stories and like shut them down and say they don't exist, basically. But now it's happened so frequently, they're like, dude, we can't even like hide it. I think most people already know now, right?
They might be doing the inverse because anything that's released now, especially over the past year and a half, like people question everything so much that they don't believe any true narrative. So then they just put it out there and see like, will people actually believe this or not? And everybody's like, that's fake. The government's like just using ships and shit like that. They ain't gonna put out the real.
I saw a funny post.
You're like, what?
On Reddit, people are like, the government's still lying to us about UFOs for the last 50 years.
And
then the government comes out, UFOs are real. And everybody's like, the government's lying to us, UFOs are not real.
Like, they keep switching more. Like, come on, man.
It's like the government trying to give you what you wanted to hear, and you're still not
because
your trust is so great.
It's literally against everything. It would be on the opposite end now. So now they can just come out and just say all the true shit they wanted to. Like, we killed Epstein, bitch. And then people are going to be like, well, maybe Epstein did die from suicide.
Back and forth It's like you throw out so much information and misinformation, no one's ever going to know what the truth is.
If that was an agenda at play, a misinformation play or whatever during the pandemic while everyone's at home, then it seemed like it worked pretty good.
That was a part of the Project Blue Book. It was a misinformation project. Like they had the
kill
audacity
credibility
to say,
is the best way.
One of these people, it was like in West Virginia, and they had all these sightings of UFO craft like over the trees, and the doctor went up the mountain and stuff. He was like, what you guys saw was an effect from swamp gas. And now everybody uses that as a funny joke. Like, you saw a UFO? Oh, no, that was swamp gas. I'm like, damn, I was like, where do y'all get this stuff from? It's crazy.
So the thing, if corporate media is the propaganda arm for the U.S. government, then I think it probably makes sense. The reason why they're revealing this, and what they're revealing are images. They're revealing interviews with U.S. military personnel, but they're not going any deeper than that. I think it seems safe to say that the reason why they would be revealing it now is because the sightings are going to get more frequently and almost as if we're all about to see it.
Actually, I think you're spot on because they're like... the sightings are increasing, so we need to at least get some information out to the public.
Because you can't just have them like see some shit and be like, "What the fuck is this?"
Maybe on the 18th, it's going to come to humanity anyway, and like, we need to get ahead of it. So we were like
already knew this
lying to the
information
people
or
and hiding
anything.
it to the people all this time.
Right.
Yeah, that would be super fascinating
Right.
if that happens.
You know what keeps going through my head right now?
Yeah.
The moment on what was the movie with Will Smith? Independence Day.
Yeah.
Do you remember the moment where that huge ship arrives
Yeah.
and was just in the sky?
Yeah.
And the entire world
Just
was
lost their shit.
right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm.
That moment
What if?
Yeah.
What if a huge ship just kind of docks in
every
the sky,
major area of the planet,
and that is broadcasted live over world news?
What a time to be alive! Yeah, that'd be wild.
I mean,
And it just docks there for, I don't know, days without doing anything.
And everyone's just freaking out.
Yeah.
It's just like, what do we do? You see like people like cannibalizing each other.
you already
in the
know the
streets.
first like jets and that are going to start surrounding things going to be U.S. military, like wherever it is, even if it's in fucking Africa or wherever. They probably
like without even being engaged, they're going to throw everything at it.
Yeah, like that's their immediate thought. As soon as they see that shit, they're like, "Send a military plane." It's like, well, hold on. Let's think about this for a second.
We must bomb it.
Yeah.
That is how we fix the problem.
There's a significant reason probably they're coming up this time.
If that shit shows up in the sky, I'm like, yeah, we're done. We're pretty much done for if they try to attack it.
Or the way they attempt to calm the public is by saying, well, it was shown to you on 60 Minutes that we've been witnessing this for years. It's okay, calm down, people. They're not gonna. We know how to deal with this. We just ignore
We've
them.
already been in contact with.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder if they would admit, be like, we've been in contact and had communication back and forth with them. Therefore, you shouldn't worry or something.
Yeah, that's why I think something like that might happen. They want to get ahead of the problem, right? It seems like they've been competent and they're ready and well prepared for this. So I wonder if that's what it is. I hope that whole UFO report isn't like heavily redacted, but like
it look like the 9/11 Commission
because,
report and have 28 pages missing or some shit like that. Like
like every other line's gonna have a black line.
Like those. I hate that shit.
Yeah, like just give us the information. But that would be a truly wild moment if that shit happened.
Yeah,
that would be amazing.
Yeah,
it's hard to say how it'll play out. Like, come together as a people, or will people just freak out so much? Like, I don't know what's gonna happen.
But how long?
The feeble-minded won't survive.
Yeah.
And how long would it take for humans to just get used to it? Just talk about it for a week and then. No one's. It's still docked in the sky.
Yeah. And then the next news story, they're already just talking about.
Right.
They're like, well, humanity's like, well, I got to pay for mortgage, so back to
work. Just driving to work, this big UFO ship in the fucking sky.
Your job's calling. Why the hell are you late?
Like,
have you looked up lately?
You're like, we're going to have to write you up for this one.
Right. Yeah. Your supervisor's on the phone. Did you not know nothing else is important but getting these packages?
I need my report by 4 p.m.
Right.
Amazon trucks start self-destructing because their employees didn't move fast enough.
And then Jeff Bezos disappears.
He hops up in the ship and takes off.
If you thought rent wasn't getting paid during the COVID,
wait till you see the aliens show up.
No one's paying rent after this.
They're gonna be like, what the fuck?
Like, I ain't doing shit now.
I'll just be asking the alien, y'all got a room up in that bitch?
What y'all charging up there? Oh, y'all just want to ask me questions? Yeah, I'll just go there for a while.
Let me get a room for a couple of nights.
Don't try to turn it into a tourist destination. $1 million per trip.
Capitalism at its finest.
That's right. They'll never die.
They're like, damn.
Yeah, I think that would.
We'll be like the who was it? The people that hijacked the ship in Captain Phillips to the aliens. Yeah. We would be like that, and the aliens. Would,
of the ship.
Yeah, we'd be like, we're the captain of the ship, and it's our hotel now. We're just gonna. And the aliens would be like, what?
Pull a Marriott sign across it. Have like McDonald's advertising on one side of the ship. They're like, what better advertising than have it in the sky permanently?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
That's some shit
it's
out
getting
of
media
Elysium
coverage.
or something.
Yeah. Wow. That's an interesting theory, Danny. Though that'd be wild, man.
Yeah.
Like, they are just priming us for something bigger to show up at this point.
Right.
Yeah.
And 60 Minutes, of course, is going to say, well, we're the best because we were on
we
this
covered
story.
it.
Yeah.
They could pull it from all over. Like, Jeremy Corbell will be pissed as hell. He'll be like, I was talking about these y'all motherfuckers calling me crazy.
Right.
Bob Lazar, like all those guys. Right. Be like, what?
Basically clowned everyone that had an abduction story for the last 70 years.
Yeah.
Now it all comes to fruition.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Ruin
most of those
lives.
people, like, I don't even think if they care if people believe it now. Like,
Yeah.
Lazar's 30 some years deep. Like, he's just like, I don't.
He's like, he doesn't care.
He
knows what he saw, basically.
Yeah, like, you can't tell me shit. Like, I don't care if y'all don't believe. Kind of similar sentiment to what Throwaway Alien said in his last post.
He's like, I don't care if y'all believe or not. He's like, I know what I've experienced. He's like,
it doesn't do any good to go put this out here for no reason and shit like that. It's just like,
just interesting though. I mean, I hope it's not an elaborate hoax, but we'll see.
I mean, even if that part's elaborate hoax, the whole, like, there is some other species and shit. There's something going on.
Yeah, because otherwise the government won't be talking about it as much either.
Yeah. I mean,
there's something there.
Yeah, and we had to get this technology from somewhere, like you were saying. Like, they put element 115 on the periodic table. It's here now on Earth. How?
That's what they think is, like, basically the fuel for their spaceships, of how it's able
how
to
they
move the way it does and stuff.
Anti-gravity propulsion systems and shit like that. So.
And even though they are the propaganda arm of the government, that I don't think they would risk their credibility. You know, with these stories.
Exactly.
That's true
like,
too.
Something has to be serious going on for them to be releasing
point.
this many stories, right? Because they got to be priming us for something. There's always some sort of media propaganda psyop going on before something major happens, right?
Yeah.
So they just prime you, and because if you go look at every great event in history, you're like,
we should go check if drills are being run right now. That's like, always before any big event happens.
What type of military drills are being run
right now?
To basically prepare you for such an invasion. I've even heard this alien invasion theory for a couple years now of people talking about it for several years. I can't recall them off the top of my head, but there's been people saying that. Like, that's going to be the next major false flag. Is an alien.
That's what I'm scared of. That's kind of what I was getting at. Like, that could be used.
Well,
like,
I think we just experienced the biggest drill we've. I think
to fly and stuff like that,
to be in the house, a curfew. Worldwide, I think we did just experience a drill.
Yeah, maybe
right beforehand.
That drill was priming you for what's next.
Right.
Yeah, good.
All governments, whether it was
intentional or not, that's
like on the federal level, on the city level, they were flexing their power with the ability to be in at 8 p.m.
Yeah, because you could have just not done some of that, but some of them were. It was like a flex of power to see. And then how many people abide is kind of like, let's see how many people abide.
How submissive are the populations to fear, right? So if the next thing has an even bigger fear factor than COVID, then you're because like
it's not saying it's not a legitimate fear to have, right? Like people don't want to get COVID, so they stayed like in and was like real like that. Now imagine if the aliens are real and they do show up, it's not fake. Like COVID's real, right? Like it's a real thing, and then how are people going to react?
Right.
And did you prime them for that?
What other kind of way to have a practice drill? They couldn't come out on television and say, "Hey, we're practicing for this." This invasion from another.
Because all the other ones are all practices in like what are they going to do on their counter efforts or whatever. Not how the public is going to react to this huge incident. Normally, it's like school shooter drill. All right, let's just run the school shooter drill, and then the school shooting happens like the week after, or the 9/11 drill, or the two bombs blowing up in London, and the buses at two different cities.
How ironic was it? They were doing drills for hijacked planes like just a week before 9/11. Right? So,
and not even far from there. It was like freaking couple blocks down or something.
Right.
Y'all ain't trying to die. Shit, apparently.
It could be, man. That would be wild.
Yeah, it just opens the door for a lot of interesting things.
There's actually, Project Blue Book, I'm sure there's a book about it, but there was a TV show about it, and the government actually had a hangar full of like UFO-looking planes, or they replicated them to fly them over a town to see what the town's reaction was going to be and stuff like that.
What?
But that doctor had nipped it in the bud before it went live to actually do, or something it was something similar.
They were going to try to push that thing to happen, and
we could see that. Maybe the craft we might end up seeing might be controlled by forces here, but I don't know. But like you said,
then that means we figured out how to use element 115 and all those other things, which means holy shit, that means like a whole another slew of things.
Well, Bob Lazar said that they've been so far,
they've been unsuccessful. Yeah.
reverse
so
engineering.
Yeah.
And that dude's a genius. He put a fucking rocket engine on his car when he was like young as hell.
He made the car run off water too.
Yeah. Just too much. He's just a damn genius.
But
and he still couldn't figure out how to reverse engineer that shit.
But he said that they were flying it at that time. They were flying the craft. Remember that?
Yeah. I knew he said they had it in the there was a few
flights.
other in there, and he went inside the cockpit area, and it was like small and shit like that.
They sent some test dummies in those flights just in case anything went wrong. They probably sent probably monkeys first, and then probably tried it on a couple soldiers or something. That probably are already
actually they couldn't have figured out how to reverse engineer it yet, because right after the podcast they stormed Lazar's house because he mentioned that he still has some Element 115, and they want that shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so
I hope he hit it.
And hasn't
that means they don't have much of it either, probably.
And hasn't it been added to the tables, the periodic?
Yeah,
tables?
it's already added. Right? Yeah, it's added to the periodic table.
Yeah, I bet you they've been studying the hell out of that. Because they're like, dude, if that thing can power propulsion systems, and imagine the edge you have over the rest of the world if you figure out how to launch that craft first. Right. Your world domination, basically.
Right. Yeah.
And some shit you probably might not even know what you're about to see. Like if you can travel up that far and you ain't never been that far. I don't know if humans can even.
Could also be why the aliens are coming back. They're like, nah, you're not about to be flying ships like we do.
So, like it was cool while y'all was trying to put the shit back together and reverse engineer it, but you figured it out. Now we got to come down here.
Yeah. And remember, he also said that it was they found the craft buried.
An archaeological dig is how it was found. That was when I heard that, I was like, oh shit, that's like that thousands of years.
One of those War of the Worlds movies. Some of the crafts rose up out of the ground too. What if they've been lying dormant for a while? And they or they had ships down in the sea.
Down in the deep? That just made me think, what's down in the deep sea? Like, fuck.
They could have them planted all over the world, just like kind of like how they do. Oh,
like the caves of Malta.
I read another article the other day how like the media has like government agents planted on Hollywood scripts to like prepare you for something, just like war. They glorify certain aspects of war. So
so people go sign up for the army and go.
Test it out on the psyche and the masses of people and how they receive that movie, and they're like, oh, okay, they were cool, they were heroes. We can go do this now. Imagine if that's what the case was for all these alien movies. Like, how did the public react to these movies? Okay, we know they're going to totally comply because they're scared to shitless, right? Yeah. So that could be something too. That just like they're priming us with the government reports and all that stuff. Just could be another.
I wonder if the most of the population at this point is scared or more receiving of like aliens coming down at this point with all the shit that's going on. We're in 2021 now. Most people's situations, they might just be like, come down and save us. Like, I don't know if that's their perspective, where it's like, oh shit, don't kill us, aliens. Like, where is the?
At least the U.S. is so divided; it'll either be blamed on Democrats or Republicans.
Oh, if they politicize it,
narrow way of thinking.
That'll be hilarious. They try to politicize aliens.
They would.
These aliens are Republican aliens. Like, what the fuck?
At least here in the U.S.
The other countries would be like, y'all silly. Like, these are just aliens.
Yeah, how will the world view it?
Yeah, that's really what's more important.
Fox News will be like, this is the Democrats' fault for bringing this legislation. Now all of a sudden they've got all these Libby aliens coming down to America.
And then during that same news conference, the alien walks up behind the reporter and rips the fucking head off. That's what I
and it also depends on what's revealed. If it's revealed that humanity is nothing more than a class of whatever these beings are,
then everyone's gonna be like, oh shit.
Like, I don't know if that's gonna be wanted by like people of power, because that kind of kills their stranglehold on people.
That kills their ego too. That makes them think they're not as strong. The perception will be they're not as strong.
Yeah.
And it completely eliminates this royal blood nonsense.
Yeah.
That should have been eliminated a long time ago.
That shit for 5,000 years. Ain't shit royal about you. Aliens will flick you.
Right. You've got chimp DNA too.
Trying to act like you're better than everybody.
You just tried to act like the alpha chimp for the last 3,000
exactly.
years. People were submissive to you.
Give us back our castle.
We're taking this castle back.
Give us back our gold. Give us back all the shit. Like, that shit was so weird, even just going to the museums in England and seeing all the Indian memorabilia and from other countries that they just like, oh, y'all just went and robbed these fools.
Yeah.
Like, that's what y'all did.
Like, check out our
and then
museum.
y'all are on display now.
World's largest diamond found in India. They don't say that they stole it.
Yeah. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. They're like, this is ours. So,
Yeah.
Take
like,
that
what?
back.
How did that happen?
I heard someone say a museum is where you put stolen property.
That's
Yeah.
damn, yeah. There's
that's
that's
actually
of
very
all places
simple
that has the most stolen
amazing
property,
way to put
museums
it.
have to be it. Yeah. Shit.
Yeah.
And not be prosecuted.
Seeing those damn
Yeah.
Egyptian tombs and shit.
Damn,
Like,
I
I don't
should
think
open
this was
a
authorized.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we were in one of them and saw the Egyptian tombs, or they had the what was it, like the mummy the casket, and it had the whole story written of like in Egyptian text and shit on the whole thing. And I'm pretty sure Egyptians weren't like, here, go put this in a museum whenever I die,
See? Yeah.
like that ancient
Yeah.
Egyptian. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, no, we wanted this here at our place for a reason.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
you know.
unfortunately, in Egypt during the revolution, a lot of the museums got looted and damaged from like ISIS and shit like that.
Yeah, that's
Basically
true. A
destroyed
lot
the
of the
history.
monuments and
I'd
stuff.
rather be in a safe place for history to observe before it all just gets destroyed too.
Yeah, it's just like, whose hands is it going to be in to
Yeah,
be safe?
exactly.
Like,
But yeah,
shit.
but that's another problem. That's Benin, Ghana. They've been asking for their property from the British, from French, for forever. And the excuse that the British gives them, and French gives them, as to why they're not going to give the property back is because it's safer here. You don't have a facility to hold it. That's the nonsense that they tell them.
Yeah.
But the thing is, who's destroyed more property than any other nation in the world?
True,
Yeah.
too. Very good counter argument. Yeah.
I definitely
Like the
wouldn't
US.
trust you.
You've
Like,
taken
of
over
all
like
people?
30 countries.
Right.
You
Yeah.
want us to trust you?
I mean, the first thing the U.S. did when they invaded Afghanistan and Iraq was destroy museums.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah.
Trump threatened Iran. They were going to come in and destroy historical.
Sites.
Right.
Yeah.
That was Trump threatened that, and then of course people said, "Oh, that's against the
Geneva Convention
right,
or something?
yeah, the war powers or something, not to
People violate those fucking international
All
war
the
crimes
time.
They
all the
don't
Nothing
give a
happens to them.
fuck. Look at George Bush.
yeah.
I mean, unfortunately, that's what happened in Syria. There were so many historic sites there; they've all been bombed to rubble.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, just all over
It's a
political
fucking
greed.
shame.
Intentionally.
Yeah, yeah. What's crazy about Syria is though Bashar al-Assad has retained power the whole time because I think his country people know. It's
Oh, he got like,
Western
didn't he
influence
get almost
is gonna take over his
80% of the
country.
vote this time or something?
He's
He got a
still-
ridiculous
Yeah,
amount.
they
He
like
was
trying
like,
to
he
paint
won
him
by
as the demon, but
landslide.
he's been the one fighting ISIS in his own
Yeah,
country. So it's
yeah.
like, y'all still trying to topple this dude while he's fighting ISIS? I think his country.
You can't trick
know.
the Syrians
Yeah.
at this point anymore, but the
Yeah.
American minds could be tricked probably on it
easily.
still.
They just get this narrative from mainstream.
Actually,
media,
but
right?
Obama did that one time when he stepped up and did want to go to a war with Syria. Everybody did stand up and was like, "Nah, no more war, man.
Yeah,
we're
I'm
in
glad.
Iraq,
Yeah.
Afghanistan. Like, what are you doing?"
And they tried to carry on that same routine.
And
Every
then
president,
they actually
regardless
pulled
of
back and
Republican or
didn't go to
Democrat,
war
would
right
try
there.
and like bomb them, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah. They still was dropping bombs, but they didn't go to like full-fledged war with them
Yeah.
like they, I think, wanted
They're
to.
just like, oh, okay, we'll just bomb you for like a weekend. You guys can handle that, right? That shit
Yeah.
happens like every like couple weeks or months,
Yeah.
which kind of sucks. You're living under constant bombardment
Right.
through perpetuity.
It's weird how they made it such a thing, though. If you were to say something even remotely okay
Anti-war,
about
yeah.
Al-Assad or anything, that
Yeah.
you would come off as like, what are
come
you,
off as
like
like a-
pro-Syrian, anti-American?
Yeah,
Like, what?
You
Like,
just
why, how
label
did that
everything
become?
anti-American. How about
Like,
I'm like
no.
anti like mass death?
Yeah,
You know,
can
that?
we, can't we just question things? Like, I wonder what's going on here?
I kind of feel good about children not being blown to pieces.
Yeah.
No matter how you try to justify
Yeah, that one's
it.
hard to
Yeah.
justify. Like, for
Yeah.
them to be like, hey, Palestine, like, we're going to just bomb Palestine.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, like,
Oh, yeah.
we have the internet now. People
the
can
counter
see
narrative
who's
is like they're
killed.
being used as human shields. Well, there's entire families were wiped out in their apartments. So yeah, that's not the case 100% of the time. So regardless, there's collateral damage, and it causes more issues than it solves in the long run.
Yeah.
Because like we were talking about earlier, it's a vicious cycle. You're a baby or a 3 or 4 year old. You watch your parents get blown to pieces. You think they're just gonna grow up to be peaceful? They're gonna live with rage for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
Imagine if that happened.
Revenge.
Imagine if we were just chilling in America, right? And there was an apartment building, and Iraq deemed there to be a couple insurgents in the apartment building. So we
Yeah.
leveled the whole apartment
Yeah,
building.
and you lost all your
You don't
friends
think
and
you're going to be
family.
pissed off if
Yeah.
you live there, right? If you flip that narrative, you'll be mad as hell the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think it's funny that people can't think like that. Flip the narrative and see if it
That's
happens
all you
in
have to
your
do.
own
Put
backyard,
yourself in
right?
their shoes.
Well, actually, it is going on here. to some people.
Actually, I didn't even. I was thinking on solely on war. But between race, classism, all that stuff.
Right. Yeah.
That's
It's
true.
not on that level, but it's slowly. I guess
it's subtle.
Yeah.
So you don't notice as much.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
crazy.
It's just dangerous. Damn.
It is.
Maybe that's why the aliens coming too.
Well,
Maybe they can help us with that one too.
Tearing ourselves apart.
Yeah, they're like, we don't like seeing these human women and children and families getting killed by your bombs either. I don't know what the shit's over, but I don't like it. Like maybe that's how they.
It's very petty in the grand scheme of
in the
civilization.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's just.
And it hasn't gone on forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure there was times of period in peace during ancient civilizations probably lived and prospered and everyone came together, right?
I wonder how you can become such an advanced species by not fully connecting with the ultimate consciousness, and then when you do that, you lose the ego, greed, human factor of doing all these things that we do in this country. So they're just like
primitive in a sense.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
were so in touch
and they're
with their
like
ego and the third eye and all that.
And they could just be some all-loving species, and we're just like
peaceful. We're so primitive and detached from reality. We sit here and kill each other all the time.
Yeah.
Petty shit.
Yeah, we are. Yeah.
So
because it seems like what we see as advances really aren't.
Yeah.
It's like, what is it advancing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just it's a win to shut you up for a little bit.
Yeah.
Right. But you're still. They can just go on in another angle and oppress you in another way. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if at some point in time we were able to communicate with our minds to someone, across the room or across, distances. Now we have to use a phone to do that.
Yeah.
Is that advancing, or are we really just going back?
Yeah.
It's a constant state of advancing and going back. All civilizations throughout time, it feels like.
Yeah. And we're still doing it today too, bro.
Yeah, and that's what the whole chaotic thing about this crazy thing is. If you look at it at a grand scheme, it's like, oh, y'all got to here and then went back here. Y'all got to here and then went back down to here. And like it's throughout this huge chart.
It's like a chart on
a crypto chart. Yeah. Yeah, it's overvalued. It's going down.
We've hit rock bottom. Okay, time to progress.
Yeah.
Lately, crypto's felt like more rock bottom than upward stuff. But I think.
But we're about to head. Yeah. The Bitcoin conference this weekend. Miami's popping this weekend, dude.
And the twins? What
Winklevoss twins? Yeah. He interviewed with their company.
Oh yeah. You know what
he was about to get to meet him. I was like,
that's crazy. I didn't get it. I got to like the last stage, but it would have been pretty cool. But I know they're like big influencers. They're one of the original Bitcoin billionaires.
Right? They helped with what's his name with Facebook. They were the twins that helped Zuckerberg. Yeah.
He kind of like kicked them out.
And then he was like, I created this shit.
You know what they said during the conference? Did you?
I didn't see their part. I didn't see their part.
They said that Bitcoin will hit 500,000. They're predicting that 500,000 will be. Is the number, and they're holding until it hits 500,000. He said once it hits 500,000, he said, at that point there's no reason to sell because then you can borrow based off your holdings.
Yeah, and when you borrow like that, I forgot what the mechanism was, but you can find out a way to not get taxed on it by using your Bitcoin as collateral to use cash, but you got to somehow pay that back. I forgot somebody on crypto Twitter was talking about it, but that's that's another stream instead of getting taxed out the ass for it. Or you can just at that point you'll have such a large amount of Bitcoin you can use tiny fractions of Bitcoin to just buy shit.
Right. Yeah, because a lot of things will be accepting it. All the sheets go get gas in bed or whatever.
It could be the future currency. Yeah, you can just use a tiny fraction of it. Yeah,
and it seems like Bitcoin's to me it seems Bitcoin's strength is the fact that no one knows who created it.
Yes, I love that.
God,
and that it's capped.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like the U.S. dollar that they print fucking millions every day or trillions in a month.
Yeah. And they compared it to gold. They said gold, people are still mining for gold.
Yeah, but it has a finite supply eventually. Right.
But Bitcoin,
we know what
there's no more mining.
Yeah.
there won't be any more mining.
Yeah, because I think 18 million of them are released. There's only 3 million to be mined, but they said the way that the way that it's structured is the last one can't be mined for like another 100 years or something.
2040.
Oh, is it 2040?
Yeah, I think it's 2040.
Oh, that's okay. Damn, that's
Which means we got to start buying.
Yeah, that's just valuable as hell because the U.S. dollar is basically becoming worthless. They keep printing and printing and printing.
Yeah.
That Bitcoin's going to become, it could be the main currency.
Correction, it's always been worthless.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. Even more worthless now than it used to be. Yeah, because after it depegged from the gold standard, right?
Yeah, it's funny how it's changed over the years. It used to be like, bring this to your bank and you will get this much gold, and then it was like 10 reserve notes or dollar, like it became from Federal Reserve notes from $1 and so on.
But someone listening now is saying it's not worth this because I'm sitting in my home that I bought it, that I used U.S. currency to buy it with.
Saying that it's not useless because they were actually able to use it.
Right.
I mean, you put value on what you want to put value on, but if we all collectively agree that Bitcoin's the better route, then U.S. dollars in trouble.
And this guy was ahead of his time because he knew that, every currency throughout all the civilizations ended up not lasting forever, right? The U.S. dollar probably only has a finite timeline left too, and we're seeing probably close to the end of that, the way that it's
this is the last cycle, it feels
so this could be the next cycle of currency that has value, and it's more efficient. It's all digital, right? You can move it faster. Right?
It's like, how did we do the internet and all this other shit, but we didn't advance this sector.
We didn't advance currency and moving money, right? This could be that future.
And there's no bullshit on a ledger, if it's on there, transactions are they're whatever that word was, like they're definitely fine. Like it's definitely happened on the blockchain. You can't fake it, right? Yeah. Like you can print a fake dollar bill.
You can't fake this. And so also what they said is that Bitcoin is more of a place to hold, to park your, hold value. Yeah. It's similar to gold, as in So the question is Ethereum going to be the currency of the future, or is it something else?
I think Bitcoin for store of value, because Ethereum is like, if you think of Ethereum, it's like your Windows or Mac operating system, because you build
everything, all the applications on it.
It is that main engine that everything builds on top of. So the beautiful thing about Ethereum is it has a different use case than Bitcoin. Bitcoin's for store value in transactions and whatnot, but Ethereum, you can build whatever you want on it. So it has its own value. So the great thing about it is
we don't know
it doesn't have to be one or the other. You can have both. And enrich yourself, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I love about them. And there's going to be new ones over time.
And this is just like the tip of the
iceberg.
Yeah,
it's already revolutionizing finance. So it's going to be crazy to see where it is in 10 more years. Right?
It's a game changer, but damn, if they'll go down and fucking kill Gaddafi for trying to get off the U.S. petrodollar and dollar, and now Bitcoin's getting away from the U.S. dollar, like, it ain't gonna be easy. It's gonna be a little bit of a pushback.
I feel like traditional banks are they gotta either adopt it or become obsolete, because if you don't, that's gonna be the future. They might try and find their own way to crush it. That's why you hear all these negative news stories.
Oh yeah, they're constantly
one negative news story comes out, like 10, 12, 15 to just try and crush the whole narrative, right? Yeah. But I don't think this can be stopped. I think it ultimately ends up becoming an idea that people fall in love with too, right? So those traditional banks better get on board and start letting people use crypto, or they're not going to be around either.
And as people become more quote unquote woke, then they would go toward the direction of decentralization and getting away from like the bank telling you how much this is worth and just taking your notes and borrowing them out and then making money on it. Like, no, I'm moving my money somewhere else now. So the whole general principle and moral idea of it is that's a big factor. That's why I believe so strongly in crypto, but man.
I'm trying to remember the name of the CEO. The CEO of the largest hedge fund, or the principles of Ray Dalio. Yeah, Ray Dalio. Ray Dalio. He's come around.
Yeah, I saw he said something last week or something.
Yeah. A lot of those bigger ones are. If they see value to be made there, they are. And I even heard all the major U.S. banks are going to ultimately start having their own crypto custody. So I think we're just on the cusp of it opening up to everyone.
But he also gave a warning about Bitcoin. He said that he would not be surprised if the U.S. government at some point began to seize it.
Yeah, they could, because if it's sitting on
grab
an
the
exchange,
hardware
they could.
wallet.
Yeah.
No different than when they seized gold.
And it's easier for them to seize something electronically
Yeah.
than door to door.
Yeah.
Right? Well, shit. Yeah, that'd be crazy.
Yeah, I mean,
But
that's the kind of fight we're going to have to go up against.
If
I
they do
think
that,
so.
they would piss off an army of people, because there's a lot of
And
powerful people that are holding Bitcoin too, right?
Yeah,
they're going to go after people that are holding
investors.
thousands of Bitcoin. Like if I'm holding like 0.0002 of Bitcoin, I don't think they care to come after me. But I would think it's the people that are holding tens of thousands of Bitcoin. That have
and then that's the people that they wouldn't want to go after, because that's the kind of people that run
don't
shit,
piss
right?
off the billionaire class, right? So.
And when we say seize, we also have, like, when they seized gold, they paid people for the gold. They were told to take it to the local bank, and then they were given money. Little did those people know, if they would have held on to it, then it would have been worth a lot more.
Yeah,
exactly.
So
they got robbed right there.
That's another thing. They may just entice people to willingly give it.
Yeah.
Be like, hey, we'll give you, say market price of Bitcoin is 35,000. The government will be like, we'll give you 40,000.
50,000 for your Bitcoin.
And then in a couple months, the shit's worth like 80,000.
Yeah.
Like what?
Or the dollar is, or now the dollar is saying backed by Bitcoin.
Yeah.
After everyone is willingly giving it.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that'd be some
because
shit.
they call it digital gold.
You get a fucking paper dollar bill that says Bitcoin reserve note or something like that instead, or something. Like what the fuck? Yeah. But the Federal Reserve's like, we got to find out a way to, not like Rothschild families are sitting back like, we'll just let this happen. Like, I don't think that's happening either, right? Yeah. So,
but they're the
they invested in the ETHE stock.
Yeah, I mean they're the bankers. They're the bankers of the world. So they would just. I think they would probably transition easily to just being a banker of whatever.
But at what point do you do that, when you think that old style of thinking, like, is one of the younger Rothschilds going to be like, hey, father, grandfather Jacob, like, we gotta adopt this soon, and they all start doing that. Like, I don't know. That's the old way of thinking. They're like
one of the whales, right?
Unless they are one of the
I'd be
people.
That's the worst shit. Like, it'd be like the worst people I wanted to be involved in this shit. Like,
people that are that rich, they invest in a little bit of everything because they have that much money.
That's
so
true.
I'm sure
That's
the richest
true.
people in the world are probably holding several Bitcoin just because they can afford to. It's a drop in the bucket for them.
I mean, Paris Hilton owns it.
Yeah, she's surprisingly been in crypto for like a few years.
Yeah.
This ain't no new thing for her. I looked back at some of her older shit and was like, oh, okay. Like, I thought she was just a dumb blonde, but she's been investing like for years.
Russell Okung, first player in the NFL that chose to get paid in Bitcoin last year, ended up becoming one of the highest paid players.
Really?
He plays for the Panthers.
Literally the number one draft pick of the NFL draft. He just took his whole signing bonus in Bitcoin.
Really?
Yeah. Like, it's becoming
people are starting
a lot of contracts for NFL. They're having to pay in Bitcoin now. Because they're asking for it.
And then also, Paris Hilton's sister is married to Rothschild.
Is she?
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
Nikki Hilton.
Oh, yeah, I remember that chick.
Real good, huh?
Yeah, so they've got children and everything.
Damn.
So if Paris Hilton is invested in it,
oh, of course, then
everybody.
Then our worst enemies are too.
Well, this became a fad because influencers started pushing all this stuff and stuff like that. But people that knew about it years ago were in it for its belief and its what it can do.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Some people are just like, now they're like, I can make money on this.
Even I heard a piece of Ross Ulbricht was talking during the conference, like from prison, obviously, but they had him on a video line, and he was, or a audio line, and he was just saying how he's like, at first with the Silk Road thing, like, this and this was working out, but I didn't really truly go understand the consensus, everything behind what it stands for in Bitcoin. Now he's like, he's got to learn all of that throughout time, and now he stands behind the moral belief and value system of it and shit. And I don't know how long he's gonna be locked up for. But
free Ross, by the way. I think he got like a life sentence.
Yeah, so they fucked him over. It was such bullshit.
They got him rotting in a cell, and he didn't physically do anything violent to anyone.
Yeah,
and you give him like a life sentence.
Yeah,
it's absurd.
It's
because he challenged the system.
Yeah, they had to make a example out of him.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
So they did it with Aaron Schwartz too. It's fucked up.
Yeah, they drove Aaron Schwartz to kill himself.
Yeah.
That documentary was disturbing. I was like, shit.
I know. That's a
Some
must
people are
watch.
really
Like,
trying
the
to do
Internet's
good,
Own
he's
Boy.
Yeah.
It's on YouTube. It's really good. The MIT dude who just believed in the internet privacy so much that he was trying to stop all that from happening to them, from taking our data, and was going out there, and he even helped SOPA get passed or whatever, or stopped like one of the privacy acts.
Yeah.
He actually was literally responsible for like the shit not getting pushed into the house because he gathered so many people to back it and stuff. And then they fucking tried to charge him for. He wanted all the information to be available for everyone. He's like, just because I go to MIT or whatever, like I shouldn't only have access to these books and this information. Like there should be a collection of it where people in Africa and they can learn about these things too.
Because better in the world, like we were talking about earlier.
Then they were like, "Nah, you're going to jail forever."
Yeah, give that access to everyone. We can have like the future person to cure cancer or whatever sitting in Africa because they don't have the resources.
Yeah, that's the type of shit he was saying. Yeah,
someone that can change the world. There's so many people that don't even get a chance, and like we keep this hidden from them because they can't afford the money to become great. Right?
Like
they're disadvantaged from the get go.
And you can't tell them pull yourself up by the bootstraps when you ain't got no boots.
For people that poor. The bootstraps things works from like middle class and up. Basically.
Yeah. You have to have some sort of foundation of something.
Yeah, if you don't even have the most basic foundations, you can never do it. Reading the book Nickel and Dime will really teach you that. It's about some girl that did an experiment of like trying to work the lowest wage job like at Walmart and trying to like feed herself and try and like lift herself up.
See if it's possible.
It's like not possible. She's like, I was eating a bag of chips for dinner. You know, yeah, it's like impossible. So.
Yeah. It's all fucked up.
Because wages haven't moved in like what 15 years.
I know. I'm surprised they were actually able to manage that long with increasing the price of inflation and everything, and then being like, nah, minimum wage still $7.25, $7.50 or whatever.
Yeah. It's crazy.
And then they politicized that one too. Like the people that want $15 an hour must be Democrat liberals. Like, no, I had to work hard for minimum wage, so you should too, and you can make it. Like,
poor people against other poor people instead of pointing to the top. Your CEO is making what you make it in a year in 1 second.
It's the easiest method. Yeah, get people to get the crabs in the bucket to fight, like pull each other down instead of getting out of the bucket.
Divide and conquer.
Yeah,
it's like you're making 15 an hour. You're mad that someone else is going to make 10 an hour. Your CEO makes like 5,000 an hour. Why don't you tell the people at the top to trickle down the money a little bit more?
Yeah,
and you know the people who are currently the at the top, right? The so-called elites. These people have always, at least the current ones, these people have always wanted to hide knowledge and keep wisdom from the masses.
That's how they stay on top.
Yeah, it goes back to what like the King James and the Bible was only, and the Bible and reading was only meant for the wealthy.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, Europe, even to this day, Europe's literacy rate, it's hard. There's a lot of people in poverty in Europe.
Yeah,
because if you can get support by those people, which are the masses, then you can still control your own destiny and control them too.
Yeah.
Because if people really came together and realized you're being screwed over by the people at the very top, I mean, it's classism. But they have a great media propaganda arm. They start telling these people, oh, they're getting money for free, or they're going to get rich just by sitting at home. That's not the case. They're still barely making ends meet.
Right.
This $300 they get a week ain't shit.
No.
It barely pays like rent for a month.
Yeah.
So and you're sitting here getting mad at somebody for getting that, but if they go back to work for $7.25 an hour, they're almost losing money after gas, food, everything else. It's like,
they can't.
So what do you expect them to do, right? You can't do anything.
It's frustrating.
And like Bernie Sanders said, $15 an hour is just catching
Baseline,
up.
You're still barely paying bills at $15 an hour, right? So people just keep getting caught up in that little thing of like going against each other at the bottom when politicians and all these other people are making hundreds of thousands of dollars, and telling you to be mad at someone beneath you is just outrageous that people can't see the bigger picture.
Right.
This they're trying to do everything but raise the minimum wage right now anyway. I mean, I know if you've gone by a fast food restaurant recently.
It's like, we'll give you an
iPhone. I literally saw the iPhone thing too. I was like, damn, that was real. Fuck.
You could just turn that iPhone into $1,000 sign-on. Somebody will start.
But it was like you would get a free iPhone and then a little parentheses like, if you qualify to blah, 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 blah,
it's like after 900 days of unemployment.
Like get the fuck out of here.
And you know, this
free appetizers at one restaurant. Like, what are you doing? Give me money. I need money.
And you know, I know some people have, or lots of people have lost jobs. I don't think it's a bad thing that these fast food businesses are going under.
I don't
think so
either.
They're massive chains. Like, I feel for like mom and pop shops, but like these mega chains like McDonald's, Wendy's,
Burger King,
Burger King, all those places. Like, I'm sure y'all are raking in tons of money.
Right? And another thing is they don't care. Remember from the McDonald's movie, or no? There was something.
Size Me or something like that.
No, there was something I saw where the McDonald's CEO, it could have been the owner. He asked someone, "What business am I in?" This may have been out of Rich Dad Poor Dad. And he said, "Oh, you're in the hamburger business." He said, "No, I'm in the real estate business."
Yeah, I heard about that line. Yeah, because you own all the footprint, all
right.
that stuff worth just as much.
Right,
yeah.
all that real estate, the McDonald's, all these the ones who aren't leasing it, all that real estate that they sit on,
they hold the value there. Yeah, you lease it out to people for much higher than what. Like,
that's true. That is what that is.
You can rent those shits out for like $3,000 a month, $5,000 a month, easy.
Yeah. So it's almost as if they don't they wouldn't care either way.
That's true.
Yeah. And they put the debt on the franchisees now anyway.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the franchisee does, and then they're like, well, and see if you own multiple franchises, you can afford to pay your employees pretty well. If you own just one franchise and you're one franchisee,
it would be tough on that person.
It's probably a little tough to provide for a family. But because if you think about all the hours you're putting in, because if you're a franchisee, you're putting in tons of hours until you find reliable employees.
Right.
But if you've got multiple ones, I feel like you should be able to pay a little bit more, right?
And
like
the ones that got to having multiple ones, like obviously it's been done by exploiting a minimum wage that should have been raised anyway. So now
we know people
the people
that
that
have multiple franchises that do pretty damn well.
So, and now they're running into this thing that's occurring where people like aren't just fucking going to work or like for that amount of money. So
if you invest in your people, you'll have a good product and a good service. That's how I believe it. So if you pay them right and shit, then they're gonna be willing to stick around longer, less turnover and shit. So
right, And then their argument is the argument you hear is, "Oh, the minimum wage jobs are for children." Well, pay your children $7.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
is that why you got your kid going to college, like and this and that or whatever? Like
all the work that they've got to do, and for a 16-year-old, a 16-year-old shouldn't even be paid $7 for mopping the floor, cleaning the toilet, slaving over fry machines, making hamburgers.
It was bullshit. I was working. My first job was at Food Lion, making $5.75 an hour. I was fucking cleaning the whole store, scraping shit off toilets, bagging groceries, moving those carts in the heat. And then after working like a long ass week, my check would be like $74.
Yeah,
I'm like,
fucking ridiculous.
Dude, really?
Yeah.
And that's how I get like people at the bottom could never lift themselves up.
Of course not. Like, what are you supposed to do with that?
Right, exactly.
So,
nothing.
Yeah.
You're telling the people how old we are right now.
Yeah, I guess so.
It's all good.
Range,
it was something around there. The
it was between
wage.
$5.75 and $6.25.
That's it.
That's because it stayed between there for so many years. It's
somewhere. My raise was like 8 cents.
Like here you go. Buy yourself a fucking extra airhead. Like what?
Mine was Winn-Dixie. They gave me a nickel raise.
Oh, Winn-Dixie's still around?
In Florida. In Florida,
Yeah.
Then we all like worked a grocery store job as one of our first. It was Miss Winters to buy low. So
people used to drop deuces in them bathrooms. I'm like, God damn.
It was pretty horrific. But shit, at that time we were like, I got a job. I'm just working. Like, I don't know. It's still shitty though.
It was hard as hell to get the job. I was like, they're like, we want you to have like years of experience. I was like, I'm trying to get a first job. Right. I'm not supposed to get years of experience.
Well, I'm not qualified. Get on out of here. Like, what the fuck?
I've seen job postings it's like master's degree required, and then it'll say starting salary $11.28. I'm like, dude, y'all just exploiting people at this point.
That's what it is.
Yeah, it's bullshit. Those degrees are becoming. They know they can keep paying people less and less, and people are still taking it.
Well, finally, I think this is the point where it's like, no, not anymore.
Go create my own path.
And what caused? I think what actually helped cause this was like nobody could do anything with that amount of money and make anything. They started actually investing it a little bit. The regular people started investing in the crypto space and shit like that, and like started actually making significant money. And then they started telling us not to invest.
Don't do that.
We don't want you to live like actually coming up now.
We need y'all to be lab rats. We need to build. They enjoy the things they enjoy in life because there's a lower class that provides it for them. Right?
Literally, they probably could have had more control and like kept us on the U.S. dollar, if they gave us more money for those jobs in the first place, we might not have looked for other places to go invest our money.
That's very true. People want to look elsewhere. They're like, I'm pretty comfortable. I know how to do
I
my
make
job.
a good amount of money. I can buy
money.
a house, a car, whatever.
It's almost a blessing they paid us so little.
It's all the things that always happen is like a
Yeah.
blessing. The 2008 financial crash was a fucking blessing. Thank you, Satoshi Nakamoto. You know, because we wouldn't have Bitcoin without it.
Yeah.
So,
well, hopefully, next month Bitcoin hits like 80 grand, 100 grand, and then aliens show up, and then they can mine cryptocurrency on their ship, and then it's the whole revolution. It's tied all in.
I can't wait. I'm ready.
Yeah, I think I'm about spent now. That was a good
yeah.
talk,
We can wrap it up. Damn, hour 30 on it. So that's what's up. Next time, maybe we'll explore some other topics and whatnot.
Yeah, maybe we'll see we'll come back after that drop happens.
Yeah, next podcast from the damn UFO spaceship, probably.
Yeah.
So.
Be dope.
But yeah.
Signing out.
All right,
y'all.
fellas. It was a good chat.
Peace.
All right, y'all. Peace out, world.